I don't want to use the gavel. The judge left it. Good evening. This meeting of the Industrial Development Board for the City of East Ridge will now come to order for Thursday, August 15th, 2024. And first of all, Pastor Danny, if you can do the prayer of allegiance, the prayer, and then we can do the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your blessings. We thank you, Lord, for your love. We thank you for the leaders of our city, and Lord, your word tells us to pray for the leaders of our city. And so we do that for your protection, for wisdom, and we thank you, Lord, for the opportunity we have to serve alongside them. We ask your blessings tonight on this meeting. Give us wisdom, give us compassion, help us to make the right choices for this city. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Middleton, can I get a roll call, please?
Chairperson Tuggle.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Lance.
Here.
Board Member Crow. Board Member Green.
Here.
Board Member Jones.
Here.
Board Member Pamplin.
Here.
Board Member Von Schaaf.
Thank you very much. And there is an item here for public comment. We will move that slightly later until we actually get into new business, so that we give City Attorney Litchford an opportunity to introduce the information. Then we will ask for public feedback. There is no old business. We'll go directly into new business. First of all, with the introduction of our new members. So thank you very much. We have Chip Green. I believe your legal name is Robert, but everybody calls you Chip. Is that right? Larry. I go so close. Robert, Larry, almost same thing. Chip Green. Thank you very much. And then Marty Von Schaaf is our other new member. So thank you both for joining. And you're new since the last one, right? You're not new. You haven't been to a meeting. You've been around for a moment. That's right. So Jessica Crow has yet to come to a meeting, but was not one of the brand newest appointments. That's right. So welcome to all three of you. This is a great responsibility and has done a lot for what's turned around the city of East Ridge, and really appreciate all of y'all continuing that journey for the next 3-ish years as we have this opportunity. So, with the introduction of the new member, we have to do one new thing. We have to do the election of a secretary, and I'm not 100% sure what a secretary does for this board, since Mrs. Middleton keeps track of everything for us, but
I'm sorry. Trying to get
we'll give her a brief moment. Scott, you're being summoned, I believe, by Mrs. Middleton. We should. That's what they call a sidebar. Well, we're not elected, so we'll just sit patiently.
Wrong kind of bar. That's right. Be packed.
We can do some quick printing.
Well, Chairman, this is not, for the presentation, after the overview, I do have a PowerPoint presentation, but, sorry, for the PowerPoint presentation, it didn't get printed.
Oh, I see. Okay. We can always take a brief recess if you need an opportunity to print, or you can, however you want to do it.
Well, we got to the secretary. I'm going to go ahead and
Sure.
send it to.
All right, so in the
Sue
process of
Mackey
that,
for print.
does somebody want to summarize what the secretary of a board does? Ms. Middleton, do you know what the secretary of a board does, since you are the one who keeps track of everything for us?
Well, generally, they help.
Well, go ahead.
They help monitor, the minutes, although, again, I think Ms. Middleton and Diane do the majority of that. But that really is, it is an office position that's required to be had. And so it helps also fill in if there's the absence of the chairman, they step in as the second chair. And, if we're having checks or anything to sign like that, which some get signed, they may be a co-signatory on any checks that are issued by Diane.
Okay. There we go. So if somebody wants to, and I believe we do have a vice chairperson, so the filling in order, I guess, would be the third in order. So we have chairperson, vice chairperson, who is Vice Chairperson Lance. And then this would be the next person to lead the meeting, but there would still be responsibility for signing checks and all, so that is something. If anybody wants to make a nomination or volunteer, don't all speak at once. I'll make a nomination of Robert Jones. First, we have a nomination and a second. There's a nomination by Chairperson Tuggle and a second by Vice Chairperson Lance. And do you resist or accept this nomination? Okay. Can I get a roll call, please?
Vice Chairperson Lance. Board Member Crow. Board Member Green. Board Member Jones.
I vote for myself.
You can.
Board Member Pamplin.
Yes.
Board Member Von Schaaf. Chairperson Tuggle.
Yes. All right, congratulations, Mr. Secretary. And with that, the next item on new business is item 6C. There's actually an overview of the Border Region Act. I missed that part in the minutes, I'm sorry. So, do you have a moment to go over that,
That
Mr.
was
Litchford?
the point,
Okay.
yeah. So with some relatively new members, we've got just a kind of an intro. I mean, the big purpose of this body serves a lot, but really for the city of East Ridge, it serves the purpose for help facilitating the border region. And for the new members here, we're going to go over that. In short, the border region is what's responsible for the Bass Pro, the Honda Motorsports, all the new development that you're seeing in large part is triggered and stemmed by the border region. Top Golf, that whole development down there, the Exit 1 area, but not just that. I mean, you've got restaurants that have also done the Champies, the Jacks, the Food City up here.
Even Dunkin' Donuts. A lot of 'em.
Dunkin' Donuts, that whole center right there is. And but it's not just restaurants. We have an X-ray, a gentleman that runs an X-ray for retail sales, X-ray machines, is operating out of East Ridge, located here. And it's just more tax revenue that the city's able to generate because of what's coming in. But, and I think there's a print shop. Yogi's is a local print shop here that does a bunch of apparel and some. All right. Well, the border region was, we're going to get the documents here I'm going to have for you. I'm going to go over briefly just what the importance of it is because of how valuable it is for this city. Prior to 2010, you just didn't have these large developments. Yes, we did have some grocery stores in here, but we really didn't have a new one. And all of a sudden, the border region comes in, and boom, Bass Pro, the Walmart is here. Then we've now got the brand new, huge Food City. All of that is as a result of the border region. And the border region was implemented in 2011. And the simple way to really go over it is, for every dollar that's spent in this city, every retail taxable dollar, the city of East Ridge gets back 4 1/8, so 4.125 cents per dollar spent. So think of it this way: for every $10 million spent, that's $412,500 that comes back. And so there is significant growth that has happened as a result of this. But what the city's able to do, let me make sure you understand also, that 4.125 is state sales tax. It is not local option. So our local option, our 2.25 or 2.
That sounds right.
2.25 is what the local option. So when you spend $1 here, you know, it comes out to right at around 9 cents, because it's really 9 1/4, but they round down. But that 9 1/4 cents, 2.25 cents of that immediately is the city of East Ridge. That is what they call the local option city tax. Well, yeah, that's right. It does get split, but it's a local tax. It's not a state sales tax. That remaining 7% goes, in the normal world, goes to the state of Nashville, and the state of Nashville Department of Revenue and the comptroller. That goes into the budget of the governor, and he uses that. We don't know where it goes. Your tax dollar here could go to Memphis. You know, it could go up to Kingsport. We don't know, but what we do know under the border region is that essentially 4.125 cents comes back to the city of East Ridge, directly to the city's coffers. And the city now can use that to incentivize developers to come in, because when you think about a developer, let's just take a Bass Pro, for example. Bass Pro generates somewhere around $30 million a year in sales, give or take. So, at $30 million right there, that's somewhere around $120,000 that's coming back right there. That's significant to be able to tell a retailer and a developer, if you will locate to East Ridge, and whatever your investment cost is, we can help you get reimbursed for those costs through this border region program, and it's at zero impact to the city of East Ridge, in the sense of it's not taken from our property tax, it's not taken, the dollars are not coming from the city sales tax, they're not coming from hotel motel tax, they're not coming from any sort of a city grant. It is all state dollars.
And it's found money because it's an increase.
We coin it, when we're in our meeting stuff, we coin it as couch money.
Right.
It is found money, and great. It is found money in from the city standpoint, because it's money that ultimately would have gone to Nashville, and we don't know where it goes from there. Now we're in control of these funds. We're at the investment period, and you can see here, we'll kind of go through this now. There it is. It was created, originally it was created as a 12-year investment. That has since been expanded. Originally it was going to end in 2022. We have been able to lobby and get an extra 5-year extension. So now it's 2027. We would otherwise be done with the program and no more. Well, as you see on our, we have one today that's got a pretty solid pro forma to demonstrate what the city's about to get, and we'll do that. But it's so successful, even the state recognized, let's extend it 5 years. And so now the investment period is 2027, meaning, I'm just going to use Ms. Crow for an example. Ms. Crow has a t-shirt company, and she wants to locate here. It's the most preeminent t-shirt company. She wants to locate to East Ridge, but it's going to cost her $5 million because she's got to put all of her manufacturing, everything in there, and she's going to retail sell them out of East Ridge. She may retail sell them all over the nation, but the source of it is here in East Ridge. She is going to say, guys, I can go to Georgia. Georgia's going to give me $1 million to help me fund my development, my investment cost of $5 million. Well, we can say we can do you better, depending on how you are going to perform. And she's going to say, guys, I promise you I'll perform at $20 million a year. I'm going to have $20 million in sales a year. And so that sounds great. And so we can say to her, all right, so you have a $5 million investment here. And you tell us Catoosa County's going to offer you $1 million. What if we told you we could offer you $2 million of that? Well, she's going to say, well, okay, makes no difference if I'm in Georgia versus Tennessee, except for the fact that sales tax is cheaper in Tennessee. So, okay, that is something we can't fight about that. But what she as a retailer can say, I'm willing to take that because I might not make as many sales being in Tennessee, but I'm going to offset that because I'm going to be in Tennessee getting an extra $1 million, which to her is big because it helps reimburse her for that cost. That cost that is, we're saying right now, $5 million is paid back from now until 2047. So that's another 24 years, 23 years?
Mm-hmm.
So for the next 23 years, under this example, Crow T-Shirts is going to be able to collect a certain percentage annually of whatever it is tax revenue she generates for the development. So, for example, we'll just say she generates $30 million in annual taxable sales, right? So we know right there that's going to turn around and give $337,000 back to the city right there. That's the math was 4 1/8. So 4 1/8% of $30 million is $337,500. So we'll say 337. That's coming back to the city. The city says, all right, again, we got 337,000 the city has. Tell you what, Ms. Crow, we'll give you half that. So 50% of that. You get 50% of that. Let me back up here. So you're going to get $168,000, provided she sells at $30 million a year, right? Let's assume that's not a price. She's going to do that. So $30 million a year is going to generate for her about $169,000. She gets that for the next 23 years. That's around 3.8 million. That's what, she wouldn't get all that. Really, she would basically get of that 5 million. Think about it, they're capped at 5 million that's the investment cost, right? You don't get to earn more than your investment cost. So in this scenario right here, she would be guaranteed to get, in this case, 2.5 million of what she would get. Because if we said, we're gonna give you 50% of everything you generate, and you're gonna generate $30 million a year, we can now say you're gonna get $2.5 million of your investment back. Well, anybody that's done the math says, all right, you're telling me, in addition to the revenue, if I'm Ms. Crow, I'm saying in addition to the revenue I'm gonna make from the sale of my t-shirts, you're telling me I'm also gonna get $167,000 a year? Yeah, that's a solid deal. That $168,000 is not, from the city standpoint, isn't costing us a dime. And in fact, the city's keeping the other $168,000, right? Well, the city is getting to use these incentives as well to help fund infrastructure improvements, the road into Camp Jordan, the new Mac Smith Road improvements, the sidewalk improvements, the pavilion that you've seen discussed up on the city council. It helps even cover certain professional costs that they're able to turn in, engineering, architect costs, they're able to turn that in. So all of that, the city over this time period has gotten, City Manager, what are we at number-wise? We're at 20 million in debt right now? Border region cost?
About that, yes.
All right. So right now the city has $20 million in cost that it's incurred since the inception of the border region. But the city's already receiving reimbursement north of $1 million already. The city is keeping them over $1 million a year right now. Well, I mean, that's only going to grow because more development is coming into the district. And we know that these infrastructure improvements that the city has incurred is getting paid back by state dollars. So it does not impact the general fund whatsoever. And that's why it's the most incredible economic development statute that exists. It's not a free handout. Developers know that they have to perform. So, for example, going back to Ms. Crow, she knows, okay, I think I can, she's going to tell us her reasonable amount. And tonight, when we get with Mr. Gibson here, he's told us what he reasonably expects to receive in annual revenue. Same thing, an example here. She says 30 million is easy. I actually think I'm going to do 35 million, but let's go with 30 just to be on the safe side. She already knows, just from her numbers, projections, she's going to get half her investment cost paid back to her. Well, in a normal world, she wouldn't have gotten anything. She would have only gotten the retail sale revenue that she profits. So that's why you're seeing these people come in. Bass Pro, Bass Pro doesn't come to anywhere but for reimbursement of an initial upfront cost plus free rent. And so what they've done is they're paying $1 a square foot, and that's a cost that gets reimbursed. If the fair market value is $20 a square foot of Bass Pro, they're paying $1, that's a $19 delta, right? The developers are able to count that $19 discount as a cost because they incurred it. They're having to incentivize Bass Pro because we all know Bass Pro's big enough. They can go where they want to. We know that because they were in Catoosa County. Of course, it was under Cabela's, but it's the same company. They were in Cabela's because at that time, Catoosa County gave them around $4 million to come to Catoosa County. Well, the developers here paid a substantially larger amount to get Bass Pro, knowing that on the back end they're going to recoup that cost through the border region.
Mhm.
And again, the city entered into an agreement with them in 2014, but from a dollar standpoint, the city is not losing $1 from their general fund whatsoever. It's all state funded. And so that's why this is the perfect economic development driver and that you're seeing here. So I know I've kind of given you an overview, a long one, but this PowerPoint that I prepared for you gives you a breakdown, and I guess page number, but just for what it's worth, I can tell you all the math, the formula to get down to it, but just know that essentially for every dollar spent, then it's 4 1/8 cents gets returned back. So that's your multiplier. So you can always figure, and you'll see the chart tonight when we do this for the Easy Auto. I just plug in the number, the multiplier, 4.125, multiply it by their taxable sales. We know what the regular amount of border region revenue annually we can expect to generate. Again, provided that the developer performs. If the developer doesn't perform, then the developer doesn't get paid the revenue. And so there's the incentive for the developer to perform. And that's why we don't have one border region project that's gone dark at all. So we're now 13 years into this. We don't have one development that's gone into, that's closed up shop. They've all stayed open. And in fact, not only they stayed open, they flourished. I mean, for example, the Champies, it's the largest Champies. He's got, I think, 10 to 12 retail stores around the southeast. This is the largest one, and it's his highest grossing one. And he's obviously very proud of what he was able to do. He's running all of his catering out of here. And to think every dollar that's been spent at Champies, we're getting, give or take, around half that, whatever the number. Plus, we're getting the local option. Plus, we're getting the property taxes. Plus, we've created jobs. And plus, we've created tourism in the district, which means if they're coming there, large chance they're probably going to the gas station, stopping there at the gas station. Most, weekend traffic is from Camp Jordan. And so they got to go somewhere. They go eat at the Jonathan's. They go across the interstate. And you're seeing restaurants. The beauty of this is you're now seeing restaurants head west into the west part. You've got, the restaurant even at the Food City, if you've gone there, is great. That Food City was specially built because of the incentives they were going to get. That might not have been the exact same one they were going to do, but they knew they could afford it because of the reimbursements they were going to get. You've got Jack's, it's part of it. The new Portofino's is part of the program. I'm trying to think if I'm missing any that have gone west. We've talked to several developers about coming west.
We've got the 13 acres that Urban Story Ventures is going to be developing under this program.
Mhm.
Okay.
13 acres.
Okay, and the Urban Story developers are the same one that are doing the old Alstom building. They done Moccasin Bend, so they're reputable retailers. That's the other thing is this program. It hasn't just brought in non-reputable. I mean, it's bringing in people that you want to see, and that the Marco's is a very good pizza line. The Dunkin' Donuts, these are very reputable retailers coming in. That's the beauty of it. You look at the Exit 1 development over there. You've got the pizza place, Pizza Bros, Buddies, Dos Brothers. Is that right? Dos Brothers? Dos Bros. The first Jonathan's to be in the Hamilton County area. So those are all wonderful restaurants, and it's all made possible through this
Chick-fil-A.
program. And again, I can't emphasize, that's not a broken record.
Yeah.
The city didn't lose
Very clean.
a dime on it. The city, in fact, has made revenue off this that it would have never gotten but for the border region. So this body is important because you all are the first gate into the border region approval process. All the funding is funneled through the IDB, and that's under the statute. It's a mechanism really for purposes of insulating the city from liability. Really, if the city were going out bonding and putting in major infrastructure that it was bonding out, Bristol did this, and so there is a value for it. This here is important because we can now run it through the IDB. They can enter into the agreement with these private developers, and then that's how we operate and flow the funds back and forth. If there were default by the developer, it would be a default that the IDB would seek to enforce any remedies that it'd be entitled to under the development agreement, and we'll go through that. But the critical part is before anyone comes to this body, they've already met with city staff, and they've met with building officials, city manager. They've met, the mayor met with council members, but council members they want this to be y'all's decision on the front end. But understand, this isn't just somebody, they've been vetted already. They've had to go through a projection process. They meet with Diane, finance director. I'll meet with them, and we'll go over what's the development, where's it located, what's the size, what are your projections, what do you think about employment opportunities, what's this going to bring to the city. And if the staff city administration is impressed with it, they go ahead and make that recommendation and say, all right, we're recommending you bring this to the IDB. And so it's not one that has just come and said, not anybody just, but they've all gone through staff. And so when you know it's before you all, it's been pretty well vetted by the people running the day-to-day operations of the city, the finance director, city manager, building officials, and the zoning's all there. And it's been properly vetted so that when it comes here, it's not necessarily a rubber stamp, but you guys can feel very comfortable if administration is bringing this in, there's a good reason for it. And then, of course, we had the public hearing. Mr. Miller will attend. You will ask him questions if you have any. You can ask me. And, of course, the developers here as well. So they'll all have an opportunity to speak. And then from here, then it goes to city council, and it gets approved by city council. And after that, then if they're in the program, they have obligations to meet. And most of these agreements have somewhere between a 12 and 18-month completion period. And so after today, for example, if this is approved today, it goes to city council next week. City council, if they approve it, then from that point, the developer has 12 months. I think it's 12, maybe it's 18, but essentially, they have a deadline. They have to complete the project. So it's not like they can sell or just hold it. We need them to get going because we want them to generate revenue. They can't just get into it and pawn it off to somebody else and monetize it and say, hey, I got you. No, they have to come to us for approval to sell. And we have to determine, are we comfortable with the buyer? And are they going to run it the same way? So all of those are the beauty of this, is that this body still has control over it. But again, the success rate of every single one in front of us over the last 12 years, they are all still operating today. The flipping on to it, and we'll kind of it's 950 acres is the entire district, and when this was formed, and back in 2011, the district, they really got with planners to try to find the most commercial attractive corridors in East Ridge. Ringo Road obviously fits that criteria, and so that's why you see essentially the entire strip of Ringo Road with the gray area, that is all border region designated properties. And then you kind of go a little north along Interstate 75 there. You go north along Moore Road, north along Germantown, maybe a Belvoir, a little section of Belvoir. But when it was done, you can see a little bit of South Terrace. This is all designed to target two things. One, where do we really truly expect retail to be attracted to? Interstate, we all know, is the prime spot because of the cars. You have somewhere around, I think the number 75,000 cars that go through, or more, or 175,000?
125.
So 125,000 cars every day go through the I-75 corridor.
From 3 to 6 p.m.
all during the day. So, that's why you see the target. And you can see it. It's no mystery there. You see that the highlighted area really follows the Clover area, what used to be the Clover area right there at the Exit 1 interchange. But the city wanted to do their best to push stuff west. And so that's why you see Moore Road. That's why you see Germantown. That effort to push it west, because they did not want to just target what I'll call the commercial hotspots. Let's push development west. And now the biggest one that we've had west so far, and it's the most west, is this Food City. And it was an absolute victory for the city. And this body voted to approve it, and they did a great job recognizing the value of it. And now there's a chance for a 13-plus acre development. Was it just almost across the street?
Both sides.
Yeah, so both sides. And if we can get that, I mean, you've got an area of East Ridge that's existed over 100 years that had some development and growth, but you haven't seen this, not like what you see now. And so that's why you see in the map there, the effort is to push west. And in the administration recognizes it. When they see a development come through, the first question they ask is, where are you looking? Because the hope is that organically this is moving west so that it's not just East Ridge East as we hear it, West Ridge is also getting some recognition.
Yes.
And I should, local coffee, another one. That's one that was on the west side. So, you're seeing more targets moving west. And there's your map up there. But it is 950 acres is what we were able to designate. and that got designated in 2011 or 12. I've got some figures here. You can see there over the fiscal year. You can look at the sales. There's your example right there. Total sales in 2012, when this first got started, was around $91 million in the district. That is now up to 281. So, I mean, almost a 300% growth right there in an 11-year period. And I'm not an economist, but I'm willing to put the bet that that is triggered by the border region. And you can see there all the revenue that the city has gotten back there, just in the border region there. And I should have mentioned this, the state is winning too, because I mean they're keeping their share also. There's what they call a baseline. We'll talk about that tonight because I can't remember what the baseline is of this project that we got coming up tonight, but we'll talk about it. But when the district was set in 2012, that sales baseline we know was around $91 million. The border region revenue doesn't kick in until the sales district generates not less than that $90.9 million right there. After that is what the city starts generating. So the state's protected in that whatever they were entitled, whatever they received in 2012, they're going to get. They're going to get $90 million worth of sales every single year. That's not taken away from the state. So that comes out to around $6 million. Every year the state gets the first $6 million of that. Thereafter, the growth you can see on top of that is what the city is able to retain under the formula to the border region. And so there it just shows you how the state has had a great success, the city has had a great success, and our developers have had a great success. Flipping over the new businesses you can see there, these are just some of them. This is not all of them, but this is just some that have kind of been recognized from the big brand standpoint, really, is what this one was. And these are the new businesses that have come in over the last 12 years. Looking at the reimbursement projections, here's where you can see a great example. If a retail sale, this is the perfect one right here. Here's, Ms. Crow's on the bottom there, the $3 million. We said, hers going to be $30 million in sales right there. That's going to generate $124,000 in border region sales. Border region tax revenue. I want to be clear. That's that money right there. If we have a $3 million development, $124,000 is coming back to the city. And if our agreement is a 50% split with the developer, that developer knows they're going to get $61,000, $62,000 a year of their projection, because that's what the retail sales are. So you can see how the victory is so critical for everybody. And again, I know it's state law. One other thing, there's no loss to the city side. If the developer ends up closing or does not perform as well, the only loss to the city is that it doesn't receive as much of the state sales tax that it would have received under the projection. That's it. So I guess, there's an opportunity loss, but it is not, in fact, a negative red loss on the financial books. You don't see that. The city will never owe a developer anything if the developer doesn't perform. We only distribute out if and only if that developer generates retail taxable sales. So again, while the city is, like for example, if Easy Auto is there tonight and it's approved, the city is only committing to allocate the X percent of border region revenue to the extent that it's generated. If the developer doesn't generate it, then the city doesn't obligate anything to have to pay that developer. So we wanted to do this because we've got two members. Ms. Crow's here for the first time here. And y'all keep this, but this is why the border region is so important, but really why this body is so valuable, because this is hundreds of millions of dollars being decided by this board that has an opportunity to continue the growth of East Ridge in a manner that you've seen over the last 12 years. We would love to see what we can do to get further extension of this. We're certainly working as much as we can. Department of Revenue, the state of Tennessee doesn't love this program, but that's only because they're not getting to keep all the money. they acknowledge, we were on the phone with them today, they do acknowledge the value, and they acknowledge that the best part is they're not gambling with anything because there's nothing they can lose. This isn't a Titans stadium where they're getting $1 billion and hoping the Titans stick around. That's not the case here. This is all because a developer comes in and actually performs and does what they say they think they can do. Good, we're going to reward them. That's really the overview. I know it's a lot, probably a lot to take in, but I did want the new members to see it. And it's probably a good refresher for the
It
ones
is.
that have been up here before. So.
And we haven't had a whole lot of them. I just want to say a couple of quick things. First of all, congrats Crow Apparel for your amazing success. That was incredible revenue.
Love a $30 million thing.
This is why we have a city attorney who was a math major, so thank you very much, Mark. That's a rarity, and it's a gift to this board, so we lean a lot on Mark. I also want to say it's long-term investment. So the Food City actually built that building. Their previous building, they leased. They did not own that. And now they made the investment, so it's a long-term growth, and it's great for the city. I also just want to say, be an advocate for the program. There is 99.9% of the citizens of East Ridge misunderstand what's happening, and this is a great opportunity for you guys to help and also encourage developers who may be interested to talk to the city. And I spent a lot of time being an advocate for the program and trying to get people to move in. So we have a limited window of time. We have about 3 years left that this program is still active and they can get any construction done. And there was a woman I was talking to who said, I can't believe they're giving all my tax dollars to these developers. And I said, it's the state money and it's just found money. She said, no, I read it on Facebook. And I said, I'm the chairman of the board. Let me send you a link. So it was one of my favorite times ever, actually, because I got to say, well, let me help you with the education. But be an advocate, explain that you're on the board, explain what you do. And you don't have to necessarily explain the math, but just say, no, it's found money. This is new revenue from the state. This is not the city of East Ridge bailing future generations into massive debt. It has nothing to do with that. So help. We have 3 years left. Help. Promote. Business owners, tell them to move here, especially if they're outside of 15 miles. There's a whole separate thing about that. But, yeah, encourage East Ridge to be the future and make sure people know that.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. The number of discussions, we'll call it, that I've had with people that have said, I can't believe that the East Ridge is obligating my tax dollars. And I, similar to Mr. Tugla's, this is not this is not general fund.
Mhm.
It is not grant funds. This is all state money getting back. It is a gift that we got.
Yeah.
And
So
if we don't take advantage of it in the next 3 years, it is finished from a development standpoint. What's here will stay here, but we don't have the incentive to be able to offer future developers. And, we have, we try to keep it confident who we've talked to, but when we talk to developers, and really we talk to the retailers or the developers talking to retailers, they'll tell you, they got to have an incentive. What can you offer them? Because I can't get them.
Mhm.
IKEA, which I'm not saying we've talked to IKEA, but that's a huge furniture. And if you hadn't, you've seen it in Atlanta. I mean, it's enormous. IKEA doesn't locate to that spot unless they get some either, they're on a pilot, which again, pilots are done through property tax dollars. That's a loss to the city. So there's a reason that IKEA goes to spots. There's a reason that you see Pigeon Forge the way it is, because there's a lot of incentives along Pigeon Forge there, Gatlinburg too. Some of that's local tax dollars being given to those developers. Ours, none. Zero local tax dollars. So if you do talk to people, I'm wanting you to have them call me. I'm happy to talk to them. But, kindly just say, please understand, if you think this is local city dollars, you've been under a mistaken belief the entire time, and now you need to be corrected because we have a race for 3 years now, under 3 years technically now. So,
And it takes time to make construction projects happen. So really, we've got
Yeah.
a year and a half. Talk to your friends. Remind them now's the time, because the pace of it has slowed down. And I understand the cost of money is higher, but it's not high when you're getting 60% of your investment back from the state, right? So it doesn't really matter what the APR is when the state's doing it. And the other thing is, a lot of people are saying, well, they gave the developer 60% of our taxes and the city only got 40%. No, the city got a gift of 40% more money of that development. So just make sure you give the context when you're talking to the public. They misunderstand a lot. And To the last end, I think it's important to conduct yourselves with integrity because there is a lot of money on the line. And since I'm affiliated with the applicant, I am going to recuse myself of the vote, and I'm actually not going to lead the meeting anymore. And I'm going to turn the meeting over to our vice chairperson, Mr. Lance. And I'm also going to make him my designee for signing any of the papers. So keep it above board, and glad to have the new members.
So we will now discuss and take action on Easy Auto Power Sports, and since Attorney Litchford has not gotten to talk much tonight, I will now let him explain to us about this latest proposal.
Okay. All right, this is, on the agenda here, this is Easy Auto Power Sports, and not to be confused with Honda, Southern Honda Power Sports. They are not connected, though they're separate entities. There's no cross-pollination of ownership there. It just Power Sports and Easy Auto Power Sports. Having said that, I did call Power Sports today, and I said, hey, just in case there's questions about Honda, because two questions might come up. One, do we want a company that comes in to compete with Honda, which is a very good development, or equally, are they affiliated? Are we doing basically a doubling down? And the answer to that is the second question, there is no doubling. They're not the same owners. The second one is, okay, they are competitors to the extent they're in the same industry, but Honda Power Sports specializes or focuses on the sale of new power sports, whereas Easy Auto is pre-owned power sports. Southern Honda does sell some. It's a give or take a very small percentage of their sales, and in fact, they actually would be buying or would prefer a pre-owned pre-owned auto power sports to come because they don't do service. Honda does, and so where people buy, they're always interested in finding service, which they're going to get fairly close by. So while I guess to some degree they are competitors because there's a little bit of sales from Honda of pre-owned power sports, it's not enough that they'd be happy to have this. And so that's the first thing I wanted to be clear about, because we are cautious when we have developers come in. We don't want to just pile another one like it on top. And this one is not the same, albeit they're in the same industry. So, okay. Easy Auto's come to us here, and you should have in your packet some renderings, some nice schematics here of what they're going to be proposing. This property is located at 5595 Ringo Road, which, if you know where the Honda Power Sports is just a little bit more east of it. Yeah, just a little bit east. And on the north side?
South side, meet the southwest corner.
Oh, that's right, right there, Swope, right?
Swope
Yeah.
and Ringo.
So it's on the south side of Ringo Road, and still kind of right in the heart of the city. So this is not over all the way on exit 70 or the 75 corridor. This is another development pushing organic growth to the middle of the city. And they came to the city staff and administration, and they have proposed a development here. And you've got both the renderings right here. It's a real pretty facade on the front, and they have provided projections for their sales. And the renderings here, you can look through those, is what they provided to the city together with their site structure, site construction plans. And to the best that you can see that there, but they've got here, give or take, somewhere around, it's about 23,000 square feet? 48,000?
4,800 square feet.
Oh, 4,800, excuse me, 4,800. So 4,800 square foot building, and this is on vacant property, which is significant for the city. And I'll get into that in just a second. Is it vacant from a zero baseline?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Okay. So you've got the construction plans. You've got you've been given a description, and we'll call up the developer in a little bit, but I can give you, it's Power Sports. And so they have provided projections for us on what they anticipate for their sales growth here. They're anticipating over the average period of this, they're anticipating average sales to be somewhere around $6 million if you look. And I've moved over to the spreadsheet here. And so, all right. So this spreadsheet here shows you what their anticipated,
Not me,
okay.
Santa Claus.
This shows you their anticipated 23-year sales projections, which are going to be on average around $6.1 million. In total, if you take out the total, or if you project this out, on total, it's anticipated that the average taxable, that the amount that can be collected in total is, well, I don't have the total here, but let me do the total. Well, somewhere around $5.66 million in total is what this development is anticipated to actually bring in border region revenue. Of that $6 million, the developer has told us that their investment cost is $2.35 million. You'll see that right on the spreadsheet there. Total developer. And so when we met with them, we asked them, what is the all-in cost? I did a poor job of explaining this. When I was talking earlier about their investment cost, that cost is, when we ask the developer, site acquisition, professional fees, construction cost, getting the project to the doors opening, repaving of pavement that might be there, bringing in the sewer, all the infrastructure improvements, architecture fees, engineering fees, professional fees, all that's covered. Interest on their loan is a covered cost. And so we've asked the developer, what do you anticipate your total investment cost to be? Here, developer has told us around $2.3, $2.4 million is the total investment. That gets the doors open. So we now can project, okay, their all-in buy-in is give or take, I'm just going to say 2.4 to round up. So $2.4 million is what this investment is going to cost the developer to locate to East Ridge. Well, we know in reality they might decide, hey, if I went over to Gun Barrel where there potentially is more traffic, I mean, we know Gun Barrel, 4 lanes right there, it's a heavily commercial corridor, or downtown, we could say, hey, we can incentivize you to come to the center of East Ridge versus maybe perhaps somewhere along I-75. We can make it valuable for you to come to East Ridge and put you in the center because you're telling us it's about a $2.4 million investment. What if we said we can get you around 60% of that in reimbursement back to you? So the example I used, Ms. Crow, I said 50%. Staff and administration have looked at this development and said, you know what? We believe it should be a 60% split to the developer, 40% that the city retains. And it actually comes out better than 40%, which I'll explain to you in a second. But in this situation, the proposal, if this body approves a 60% split of the annual border region, then that developer can anticipate from their standpoint to get around $120,000 a year is what they'll receive. And that helps them do their projections, to know how much inventory to get, because they know they're covering a lot of their expenses through the reimbursement of this border region, in addition to whatever retail sales they make and the profit they make off their sales. And so administration has looked at this and said it's recommended that this body approve a 60% split. Again, annually, we anticipate that this is going to generate, give or take, around $200,000 in taxes. And when I say taxes, border region taxes. And we said, okay, that's their starting point. $200,000 a year is what they anticipate. What do you expect to grow? And they did a conservative 2% growth from now until 2047. And when you do that from the opening sales, they've got opening sales around 4.8 million. Over the life of this, they believe they're going to average, like you'll see there, around $6 million, $6.1 million in annual sales. And so we know if they do $6.1 million in sales, we can project somewhere in the neighborhood of them receiving around $250,000 annually. Generate for the city. 60% of that goes to the developer. And so this is a very unique one because in this situation, the revenue being generated by this project is going to exceed the investment cost. Again, the investment cost, 2.4 million. Projected total border region revenue is anticipated to be around $6 million. So we're almost not quite tripling the revenue relative to the investment. And so that's why this is such a valuable and attractive development, because the proposal for the developer, if they get 60%, remember that that's 60% of their investment return. And we know their investment's 2.4 million. So 60% of that is 1.4. That's in the yellow right there of your handout. And so this developer knows that if they perform in the manner that they expect to perform, really by year 11 of this, they will have already recouped 60% of their investment cost. And that's why they're that's why they're coming to East Ridge, because they know they've got a great safety net. They now have every incentive to pack their store with high inventory, good sales, and to be one of the premier pre-owned power sport retailers in the area, because they know they can afford to take on a lot of inventory because they're getting covered on the back end through the Border Region program. So yet that's the incentive and the value of how this border region, we now can have an investment in East Ridge that really has a leg up on any other pre-owned power sport retailer. I don't know how far people travel. I'm sure they know the demographics of how far people will travel for a pre-owned, but I got to think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 150, 200 miles, give or take. If they know they can get their inventory fast and they can find it on the internet and get it here in East Ridge, people are going to come instead of shopping in Atlanta, Knoxville. They're going to come here because more than likely this is going to have the inventory because they can afford to have it. So this development here again will recoup 60% of its investment, give or take around 11 years. Above that $1.4 million, the city of East Ridge keeps the rest of that. And so it's projected there in the green. You can see that the city of East Ridge is going to come out somewhere around $4.5 million is what the city of East Ridge will receive from this development if it performs the way they say they're going to. And that $4.5 million helps pay off the city's investment in all of the district, the 950 acres. Again, you've seen the sidewalk improvements, the Max Smith improvements, Camp Jordan Road, improvements. All of those are possible because of the border region. And this give or take 4.5 million is going to go towards helping the city reimburse itself through funds that were generated not through their efforts and with funds that were not theirs to begin with. This is state funding here. So this is really one of the most impressive ones financially that we've seen come through this body. And that's why administration has come recommending a 60% split with the developer. And it's a win for the developer because that's 1.4 million that they're going to see that they wouldn't see if they went to Chattanooga, Catoosa, anywhere else. So that's the beauty of why this program works so well. And so we do have Shane Gibson. Yes. All right. So, and I know I've kind of robbed the mic. The developer, Shane Gibson's here. I wanted to give him an opportunity just to introduce himself. If there were any questions that you all had for the developer, he can kind of give you perhaps more background or history on the company about it. But
Sure, yeah. My name's Shane Gibson. I'm from Cleveland, Tennessee, and happy to be here today. But we are excited about this new venture that we are experimenting with in Easy Auto Power Sports. And when we heard about this program, it was enticing, and that's why we're here today, because of the benefits that he's laid out. I won't go back over the math and everything, but I kind of help prepare these spreadsheets, so I'm familiar with them if anybody has questions, but I think he laid it out very well. So,
Are there questions or comments for Shane or for Attorney Litchford?
I have a curiosity question.
Yes.
So Easy Auto is Easy Auto that we all know from the car business, right?
Yes.
So is this a new division that you all have developed, or is this the first one?
It's actually a brand-new corporation that was set up for our power sports division. So it's really a new company, but it is kind of owned indirectly by the founders of Easy Auto, yes.
So merchandise-wise, it's similar to Easy Auto type of merchandise?
Yes, pre-owned, 100% pre-owned, yes.
I have a question for you. So, a couple of things just to clarify for my own thinking. So at the point, so if it's a 60-40 split, they can only recoup up to 60% of their, they can't continue to recoup up to 100% of theirs. Is that?
That's right, that's
Okay,
right, yeah.
okay, because I didn't understand that in the past.
Yeah, and that's, there's actually another page to this spreadsheet. I had the luxury of seeing it here. I thought it, but yes, you are correct.
So then my other question goes with that. At that point, does the city continue to only collect at 40%, or does the city then begin to collect at 100%?
They're collecting 100 at that point. They collect, so each year, let's just do the math, for example. In year one, we anticipate 200,000 coming in. A developer gets 120 of that, give or take. The city gets 80. So we get the 80, that 80,000, excuse me. We get 8, which is 40% of 200. So we're getting that 80,000. We're building that 80,000, but once that developer has reached its 60% reimbursement, which in this case, since it's going to exceed the total amount of the investment, which normally ours don't exceed the investment, but this one is way going to, after they've reached their 60% reimbursement threshold, which of course is 1.4, and 1.4 is 60% of their total, and their total is around 2.4. From there, yes, city gets a step
Whole
up.
200 would.
They get the full 200, and really at that point, I mean, the projections really are going to be, gosh, close to. I mean, here I can run it through, but really it's give or take around. It gets upwards of 300,000 by the last year, because keep in mind they got a 2% growth, so. In their last year, on the projection, they're expecting 7.5 million in sales. So that comes out to $309,000. City gets to keep $300,000 from that development, which goes towards all of these improvements. And the city's not done improving. There's more improvements coming.
Other questions or comments for Shane or Attorney Litchford, either one? Looks beautiful, Shane, it really
Yeah,
does.
we're proud of the way the drawings turned out.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. Do you have a,
Impressive storefront for a.
yeah, do you have a time frame roughly?
As soon as possible, but I think we met with the contractor last week, and I think we're, as soon as we get back from this committee and council, we're ready to move forward.
So at this point, are there other questions, or are we ready for a motion? What-
So at this point, there's no other question. What you're voting on is there's a development agreement in here, and you can keep this, and there's a lot there. The short of it is, I can cut you down to it. Basically, this body finds that this development meets the criteria of a retail establishment within the Border Region District. They're going to be operating, as they say, which we understand are pre-owned. I should have clarified, they can't close the store and turn around and open a pawn shop, or there's other, what we might have less desirable type of retail.
Good point.
Yeah, is that a fair way to say it? Yeah, so, no, I shouldn't have said a pawn, just ones that are less desirable, because we have some good operating ones here, we just don't need more. They can't do that. They would have to come and get that permission. This provides that if they default on certain things, which really is if they do if they take action that would impact the city's entitlement to border region revenue, that's a default under this. They would have to return the funds to it. Now, they're not going to, because if they do something that impacts the ability to collect, it hurts them more than it hurts us. So, well, essentially it does. So at least to the tune of 60% every year. So I don't anticipate that happening, but that is a possibility. They cannot transfer the property to a developer that's already in the program in a manner to try to take away from the city's efforts to, or the city's entitlement to Board of Region. It's an agreement that we're locked in, and we'll receive that 40% that we're entitled to under this agreement here. And they have to complete it. I can tell you, I think we put in here 12 months. So the only thing I do see, and I didn't realize City Manager Miller's in here, on page 5, this is my section 3.03B. I put in here that the base tax revenue of the property is estimated at $30,000. That's incorrect. It should be 0. It's a vacant property. The reason that's so valuable for the city is we don't owe the city, there's nothing this development has to generate first before the city is entitled to receive Board of Region revenue. It starts from the first dollar, which is great for us. So this is one of these really kind of unicorn type of developments because of how it's 0 property, baseline, day one, we get to receive the first amount of revenue. So that needs to be fixed in there, but we'll fix that. It's 0, which is better than what we saw, the 30,000.
What is that number?
0.
Oh,
Zero,
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah, I'm sorry. I went to sleep.
Yeah. So it's 0 for this property, but that's what you're voting on. There's a lot of legal jargon in here, but the developer is essentially committing to the development. They're going to build it and construct it and complete it in the time period here that they said that they would, and the sales numbers they're not locked to, but we asked them give us the conservative numbers. And they gave us conservative numbers of around, I have estimated sales per month at around 27 I don't know what the items, what's the term called?
Units.
Units.
Yeah.
So they actually think they're going to get, I have show here, they think maybe closer to 40.
Yes, part of that will be sales to Georgia, which, not to muddy the water, but
Oh,
that's the difference in the 40.
Okay.
Total sales, we're hoping to be about 40 a month, but 27 of those would be Tennessee residents, which would apply the Tennessee sales tax.
okay. So that's how we came up with, and they have an estimated price of around $15,000 per item. So, but that's the only thing they're not locked in is this is all projection based. So, but if there's a motion tonight, so I'll be quiet, but Chairman Lance will see if anybody wants to make it. It'll be a motion, a second, and then this body will vote to approve. And if the motion would be to approve the 60-40 split is what you're voting on with this document.
So do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Robert Jones, motion. You heard the second right next to you, Jessica. Miss Crow, I'm sorry. So I guess roll call, Ms. Middleton?
Board Member Crow? Board Member Green? Board Member Jones?
Yes.
Board Member Pamplin?
Yes.
Board Member Von Schaaf?
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Lance?
Yes. So the motion passes. At this point, we just need a motion to adjourn. Is that correct? Is there something else?
One last thing we should have, because I think when Mr. Tuggle was up here, he moved public comments to the back end of this. So we'll just, if there's any public comments, we need to have a moment to offer
Right.
that.
I assume there are not, so we want a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Mr. Von Schaaf and